So I'm here today with Patsy. Patsy, as many of you will know, has been married to Greg for just over 2 years, and we're here to talk about marriage and how God has been with her and with Greg throughout that period of change that's happened in the last couple of years. So, Patsy, tell me about Greg. So you met quite quickly and got married relatively quickly. How did you know he was the right guy for you?
Well, we'd met on a cycling holiday with O'Call, but we never really spoke to each other really until about 2018 when we cycled in the same group. Then didn't talk to each other again until 2019, and just got messaging, and everything just felt really normal. Like any conversation we had, everything just seemed like quite. It's just like normal life. It didn't seem weird. So it's just sort of like a weird sense of normality. So everything we did just seemed right. So, yeah. Bit of a weird way to put it.
But you said you met him in 2018 and you liked him then?
I thought he was cute, but I thought I was too old for him.
Okay.
So
and
I thought...
took a year to kind of then get to know him a bit better.
We actually got chatting all over the whole prospect of cycling up Mont Ventoux. I'm not a hill cyclist at all. I'm terrible. Greg is a hill cyclist. He's very good at it, and he's done cycling up that mountain quite a few times. So I got chatting to him on Messenger, asking about the route, and that led to meeting up at Wisley because we're both plant fanatics, and that started it really.
And in that time of waiting, when you knew him, but before you sort of got together, where was God in that period?
I think he was just keeping me from my own self, because I was in my last year of studying with the LPC, because I've been studying for many years, trying to become a solicitor. God knows I'm a terrible procrastinator. After all this time, that anything I can do that's not study, I will do it. So I think God just kept me focused on what I was doing to get that done. Before then, I'd finally finished the course, got my results, and then we got together. So it's only looking back that I realised the timing was all in God's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God's perfect timing. Yeah. And you were single for quite a while before you met Greg and got married.
Yes.
So when you were single, what did marriage mean to you as a single Christian?
I think it's something that we idolize, and we sort of put it up on a pedestal, and we sort of start worshipping it. And I think it's because, a lot of time in church, girls are brought up to believe that, you grow up, you get married, you have a family, this is your purpose. Not, go, have a bit of a career or try and do something, but the whole focus seems to be on being with someone, and that you're not complete unless you're with someone. And I think not really sort of understanding it, that's what I thought, I had to do. And in churches a lot, I do find that, it seems to be, if you're not married, it seems to be slightly odd. There's something's not quite right. And the expectation is for people to be married, not for singleness, even though in the Bible it says, if you're called to be single, you be single. And, being single is actually a blessing, because I found while I was single, only when looking back on it, that I could be a blessing to other people with the time I could give. So,
yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess now that you've been married for 2 and a bit years,
Yes.
What's your view of marriage now, biblically?
I think quite different to what I thought it would be. It's a sort of a sense of being at home, really. So when I'm with Greg, I just feel like content, like I'm at home. And I think it's part of the sort of, marriage is a picture of, how the church is meant to be married to Christ. We are the bride, and when we are called home at the end of our lives on earth. We are called home. So to then be with Jesus is to be home. And I find that the marriage is just, it's a feeling of a sense of being at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a shadowing almost of what we've got to look forward to.
Not something I expected at all.
No.
Which is nice. Nice surprise.
And I guess speaking about things that you weren't expecting, what were some of the changes you had to get used to getting married, and
Um,
anything you found particularly difficult?
well, weirdly, no, but it seems to be a habit for Greg and I to do many things all at once. So we got together, got engaged, got married, had a week's honeymoon, and a week after that, found a house to buy. Um, and that's just how we seem to do everything at once. And the last 2 years has just been spent, with a wonderful amount of time together, but at the same time, completely demolishing our house and pretty much rebuilding it internally. Um, yeah, it's definitely not been as expected. And I've forgotten the question.
Well, I guess it was just some of the changes, but I
Yeah.
guess, the other thing that happened, so you got married in November
November.
2019,
Yeah.
March 2020,
Yes.
lockdown happened,
Yes.
and you went obviously from having your own flat and having your own space just with Perseus, your
Yes.
cat,
I'm absolutely crazy fluffball.
to then sharing with Greg and actually not really being able to get away from each other at
Yeah.
all. How did you manage with that?
I mean, surprisingly, because I think a lot of people found lockdown to be quite challenging for them. But for us, it's actually been a wonderful blessing because before lockdown, Greg's been working in London, so we had to commute to North London 2 hours each way. And we just never really spent time together. And I just felt like I really just wanted to have my time with him. And then for us, terrible global pandemic turned into a wonderful blessing to be able to actually have that time together and be doing the things that we enjoyed together. And, that's, digging up a whole garden and planting a new garden. And it's actually been a wonderful blessing.
So time to really get to know each other, I
Yeah.
guess, and deepen that relationship.
In a shorter space of time. And I think it's really helped us to grow as well together and grow closer to God. Because we really enjoy stuff every night. We do a Bible reading together. So we've been doing the Bible in a year chronologically because I get confused. Get to one bit and then go to another bit. I think, I'm sure I've read this, but then I realize actually some bits are the same. So we've done the chronological Bible in a year twice now, onto the third one. And that's just wonderful to be able to do together.
Okay. And are there any other ways that God has been in your marriage over the last 2 years?
Just really all in timing, because when I initially felt like I liked Greg, he was working in London, living in London, and enjoying London. And at the time, he wouldn't have considered leaving. But then over the intervening year before we got together, he then found he wasn't enjoying being in London. But it's all in God's timing. So, in all this time, Greg's been looking for another job that was maybe closer to home. And there's been various sort of disappointments and setbacks of what we thought at the time would be disappointments and setbacks. But as with the timing, you realise once time goes on, oh, this wouldn't have been a good thing. That also wouldn't have been a good thing. So it's then just being faithful and trusting that his timing is right.
Yeah.
And when things happen, it's okay, that's the right thing. So we can be quite sort of bold with, life decisions that we're making, just because we know, well, if this opportunity has arisen, the door is opened, and we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
So
is that what you've said you have learnt from God in this period about his perfect sense of
yes,
timing?
It's definitely. Yeah, the more I sort of be open to it, the more it's become quite obvious to me.
Yeah.
But, the things I want to do in my own time are just not going to happen. And all for the best, really, because clearly I don't have a clue. And God's definitely got a better idea as to when things are right for us.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. And I guess finally, you've spent quite a lot of time being single. You're now married.
Yes.
And given some of the things that you've said earlier, what would you say to married couples at All Saints or anyone who's watching in terms of marriage and singleness and the church?
Singleness can be very lonely, and not in ways that people imagine. You're wanting to have a companion, you're wanting to have someone to talk to just to bounce off each other, and it just be like normal things that you want to talk about, not necessarily complex life decisions. And I found when I was single, I sort of struggled with that, because whenever single friends got married, they then sort of joined, the groups of people who were married, and I always felt like I was losing friends. So what I always want to say is to married people is, please can you spend more time with the single people of the church and encourage them. And actually, this is one thing where lockdown has been a hindrance, because I'd always said when I got married, I did not want to be sort of leaving all my single friends in the lurch. I wanted to be able to spend more time with them, that they could, spend time with us as a couple as well, so that we could encourage them to continue on in faith in their singleness while they are still called to be single. But unfortunately, with lockdown, that's not really been possible, and that's one thing that has sort of not been great. So I would say, please just invite single people around for lunch any Sunday. Don't even have it pre-booked. Just if you see someone, drag them home with you
Yes.
if they're willing.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because we had a sermon about fellowship a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the things that I took from that as well, that we should be looking out for each other and inviting each other into our own homes more. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I'd love to do it more. And I wish I had done it more over the past couple of years. I just haven't really had the space to do it in our building site of a house. If you have space for an extra person at the table one Sunday, just invite them.
Yeah.
You're probably going to find they'll say yes. They're not really going to have much else to do sometimes. So, under times I went home on a Sunday to do nothing on my own, just to fill my time.
Yeah. Well, you won't know unless we ask.
Absolutely. Always ask.
And just to finish, slightly unrehearsed, but you are expecting a baby at the end of March. A new season of change.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to?
It's going to be quite a big season of change, because God's timing for us always seems to be everything all at once. So it looks like all at once, Greg's got a new job, but it's in Worcestershire. So we're going to have baby, move, have Greg start a new job, all in about the same time. So I think it's just putting pretty much trust in God that he's got it, because I have no idea how we're going to do this. It'll work out.
So having trust.
Yeah.
And
totally.
the prayers of the church family as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Patsy. It's been great hearing more about your story. Thank you.